That being said, let's go ahead and bring up a mix. Okay, I've labeled all of the channels across here and we can start to pull them up, and we'll go ahead and start with the drum. So the first one here is the kick drum. So already, can you hear how there's some bleed from other instruments there? It's mainly the kick drum, but you can hear the snare drum in the background. We'll be able to fix that later on when we deal with gates and some of the other dynamic processes. But right now, that's a kick drum. Let's bring up the snare drum, which is playing a side stick right now. A hi-hat. Maybe we want to pan that hi-hat out a little bit. So I'll select it. Now I wouldn't want to pan it all the way to the right like I might do in a recording, because that'll penalize some of the people who are not sitting like at the 12 o'clock position, you know, in a live situation. So I tend to be a little bit more reserved with my panning in a live situation. So we'll bring up the toms. And same thing, maybe tom 1 there, tom 2 there, tom 3 there, tom 4 there. Overhead left. I'd do that all the way to the left, and the right one all the way to the right. I would tend to be a little bit more aggressive with the panning of these guys. And here's the right. I'll put that over a little bit there. Okay, that's kind of a rough roots in my drums. In fact, you might even want to use the subgroups that we learned about before to manage the entire drum kit from just, you know, a couple of faders rather than all of these guys. You remember how on our analog mixer we had little assignment buttons here? For each channel, we could then send each channel to a separate subgroup, and then if you wanted to preserve any panning across the stereo spectrum, like in this example, this hi-hat, then you'd want to assign this to a stereo pair of subgroups. It's exactly the same thing here on this console. We select any channel and you can see that they are assigned to either the main bus or to these subgroups over here. Instead of those little buttons being down here, they're just over here. They're a common set of buttons for each selected channel. So you can see each of these guys, they're all set to the main channel. We don't want to do that. We want to subgroup these guys over here to a subgroup. So let's select the first one here and deselect it from the main, and then bring it over here to the sub 1. So that'll work. You go through each one here and sub them down to the 1, but as we learned before, if you want to preserve your stereo panning, which we did, remember the hi-hat was out here, our overheads were panned out wide. If we want to preserve those pannings, we really need to bring this over to a pair of subgroups. So the first one, I would set it to sub 1 and 2 and deselect from the main. The second one, I would do the same. And if you're dexterous enough, you can actually do this. Do that. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, I think I did it right. I'm just checking them all. Uh-oh, that one was... Okay, that looks like all of them there. So now all of these guys, 1 through 10, all of these channels are deselected from the main over here, but they are brought over here to the subgroups 1 and 2. But guess what? If we select these guys, subs 1 and 2, they're not assigned anywhere. We need to assign them to the main, and this one to the main, and also pan them out wide. So the first one here goes all the way to the left, second subgroup goes all the way to the right, and if I've done everything right, they should come up right about here. Very cool. So now you can balance the entire drum kit just by using a couple of subgroups. A lot easier to ride your drums with just a couple of fingers rather than all of these guys and kind of messing up your relative mix between all the drums.